Marquette, the fourth-ranked team in the country, looked the part. 71-64. They go to Champaign. They beat Illinois. Tyler Kolek is one tough you-know-what. He was phenomenal in this game. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Chris, how good is this Marquette team, and how do they do it?
No, they're very good. I think they showed that last year by winning the Big East championship. And they've got almost all their parts back, led by none other than, as you mentioned, Tyler Kolek is a phenomenal player. The thing that I love about him is he's just so under control. He is so in charge. He can score. He can pass. He makes coaches look really, really good. It's when you see him in the open court, somebody's getting a layup. It might be his teammate who he's going to hit in stride. It might be himself. And his ability to sort of play with his shoulder, use his hip, not necessarily just crush you with a burst off the dribble, but be able to feel you with his body and sort of play at his pace. Ultra impressive. His pace is just as good as it gets in college basketball. And I think Marquette, they got a chance to be a very special team once again this year.
Hansbrough, your thoughts on a fellow Tyler Kolek?
I love his game. I think he's a competitor, arguably the best point guard, if not best player in college, behind Zach Edey, just to be clear. But I do think, Coach makes a great point. They bring back a lot of parts. I think they're a veteran team. But also David Joplin is a guy who I think is going to progress as the year goes on. He was a great six-man for him last year. But also Cam Jones can light it up from outside. They have scoring. They have a system that is working. Shaka's done a great job. So I can definitely see Marquette growing as a team and keep getting better and better and building off of what they had last year. And a lot of those pieces that kind of played role players last year, I expect to see a few guys, in particular David Joplin, to have a big year and kind of step up as the year progresses, like I said.
There are two things that stand out about Marquette. Number one, they didn't have anything in the transfer portal season. They didn't take transfers and then go out and get them. They didn't have kids transfer out. And number two is, by all of that happening, outside of losing Olivier Maxence Prosper, they have everybody back in their room. So they're going against what a lot of other teams in college basketball are doing to accelerate their success. And Marquette's doing it the old-fashioned way. And that way can win a national championship. Shaka Smart and the Golden Eagles, it is their time. And when you have roster continuity in 2023, Chris Mack, what does that mean while all these teams, even these coaches, are showing up to games trying to figure out what their teams are?
Well, that's exactly the boat that Illinois was in last night when they played Marquette. Coach has a really good team. Brad Underwood. I mean, he's got a great team, but they're new. They're new to one another. I think that we've seen this historically when mid majors knock off high majors because these mid major teams have had players together for 3 and 4 years, and they're very savvy. They're experienced. They've been through the wars together. You don't find that a whole lot with high major programs, because of the transfer portal, because of guys putting their name in and leaving for the NBA draft early. It just doesn't happen as much in the Power 6 conferences. But to see that Marquette, has virtually their entire team back, led by one of the best, if not the best point guard in the country. They've got something special. It's going to be very interesting to me, not just this year, but to see if Shaka can continue to bring in freshmen that impact his program, may not be their best player, but continue to get better throughout the year. I think another kid that is going to really help their team is Sean Jones, who was a freshman last year. I think he'll take even more of an important role this year as well. He can break you off the dribble. He can shoot. And, Cam Jones, like Tyler mentioned before, terrific player. I really like their team. And, I thought Illinois last night sort of put themselves behind the 8 ball because they played a lot of drop coverage on ball screens. You can't do that against Tyler Kolek. I think you have to impact the ball and get the ball out of his hands, because if he has it, he's making the right decision 95% of the time. He is special.
I mean, he started his career at George Mason, Tyler Hansbrough. He was under recruited, and that's nothing against George Mason. But think about this: this kid's the best point guard in college basketball, and look at his roots.
And I think he's just gotten better and better. I think his outside shooting has continued to improve. But listen, I know about George Mason. They beat me when they were on the run. But I will say I love the way Kolek's playing. I didn't watch enough of him last year. And I remember watching him run through the Big East tournament. Then that's where I kind of grew as a fan. And then I watched him, and I started telling people, I was like, man, this kid is something special. And you can't really place enough emphasis on team chemistry and spirit of a team, and I think that's super important. Kind of like what Coach Mack talked about is, you have these mid-majors who have stayed together in a team that have progressed as a team for 3 or 4 years, and they go on these runs. Well, you're seeing that at Marquette. Not saying they're a mid-major. I'm just saying they've done it, and they've been with traditional way where they've been a team together and they've kind of grown, and you're seeing a lot of players step up. And a lot of that has to do with that these guys have played with each other for a while now, and they're kind of growing as a team.